Hey everybody, Matty Ice here, and in today's video I'm going to show you where you can find all the collectibles in the deep dive mission, as well as some of the secrets that I found throughout the various deep dives. Now before we go any further, if you do find this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you could like it and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help me out. Now this first collectible can be found immediately after you drop down into the first little deep dive area. Before you make that jump where the lantern is, turn to the right and there'll be a small little alcove with this little yellow flower, and that's where you can find the first harvest for your aquarium. Now one of the secrets I've located is this little statue that is in the boss room also, but I'm not really sure what it's doing here. It doesn't really seem to have any kind of interaction, so I'm not sure if it's something that you can do something with later or what it is, but just keep that in mind because there are others scattered around and they might be relevant later. Now just continue on your path and you'll get to the next drop where the lantern is, and just keep going, and the next collectible is going to be just before you enter the first encounter room. So once this area opens up, just drop immediately down to your right and you'll be able to harvest this little hexagon looking thing. Now when you get to the first encounter, what you want to do is have somebody deposit the extractor, and you want to look for Toland. Now he's going to spawn either in the middle, the left, or the right side of the room. In this example he's in the middle, which is pretty much directly underneath the platform. And when that happens, a bunch of taken things are going to spawn. Either it's going to be blights that are kind of covered in a dome where you have to go inside the dome and shoot them / melee them, or it's going to be these little floating blights. Either way, you have to interact with these taken events and destroy them all until you get to a Zebra Wrath voice line.
Mine blade is an invitation.
Once that happens, you know that you've done this correctly, and you'll be able to just complete the encounter as normal, killing all the things, doing whatever you have to do. In our section, we just had to defeat all the enemies. And then once you do that, the pressure trial is going to actually begin, and whatever time you have left, you're going to have to actually defeat a big boss. In this situation, it was a giant fallen brig, and we had to defeat it with the time left was around 4.5 minutes, which is plenty of time. But once you do that, you've completed the pressure trial, and you've increased your treasure rewards. Increasing your treasure rewards just gives you better rewards at the end, and you can eventually get a chance at an exotic if you get all the way up. So once you've cleared that out, I want to show you where I can find one of those other hive statues. So to the left of the room here, there's a little opening, and inside this room is another one of these statues. Again, I can't seem to figure out any way to interact with them. If you figure one out, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll give you a shout out. Otherwise, just go back to the back of the map. If it's week 2, you're going to progress to the next deep dive and we'll get those collectibles. If it's not week 2 or week 3, since these are continuous, you're just going to keep progressing to the final boss. But the next collectible is here before you get to the big fan. Instead of jumping down into that big circle room, I want you to go all the way against the back wall. So just keep progressing straight, follow the bubbles if you need to, and you're going to find this little open hatch. Follow the pathway from this hatch all the way to the end, and just before you leave to drop down to the fan room, there will be an icon to collect. It seems like you're collecting these little scallops or something that's along the wall here. Either way, this is the next harvest for your aquarium. Keep progressing for the next harvest, and right before you get to the final drop, there's going to be like this little purpley room. In the back right corner of this purple room is going to be a glowing red flower, and that flower is going to be the next collectible for this depth. Alright, for the second encounter, again, this is going to be the same thing. If you want to do the pressure trial, Toland spawns either in the left, middle, or right. In this example, he's spawning kind of in the middle left. I'm not really sure if this is the far left or this is considered middle. I've only ever seen him spawn here and on the right. Either way, just look around for Toland. My best advice is to just look for him if you want to do the pressure trial before you do anything else, just because you don't want to progress too far and there is a time limit to actually collect the Toland. Now in this example, this is another taken blight situation. Again, these have the little dome around them. Just run around, blow them up just like you did before, and you'll get the voice line from Zebra Wrath once you've done it properly.
I am war. You bear mine banner like a crested tabard.
Again, just like before, you're going to complete the encounter as normal, and then the pressure trial is going to actually start. In this situation, you have to kill kind of a couple bosses. There's this one big Taken captain, and then there were several Taken centurions that we had to kill. Again, nothing out of the ordinary. It's a little challenging, but if you've got a full fire team, it shouldn't be too bad. Now, if this is the third week, you're going to go to another deep dive section. This one's a little different in that you have to actually activate switches to open the doors to progress. So if you want to get the collectibles, they are where the switches are on that same floor. So that kind of helps it easy, way to find them. If you can't progress, just know that there's a collectible there. If you're in a fire team, sometimes your fire team members will run ahead. Just try to get there before they pull you forward. My advice is to drop down on the left side first, because you can drop down on the left or right side. But this first one's going to be from the left door, straight ahead into your left in the back corner. And here you can see it in reference to where it is located from the switch. So pick that up, pull the switch, and then you can move forward. Again, once you get down to this little next area, it's kind of pinkish red room, where you need to find the switch again. Look for this glowing section on the rock to the right. And again, this is going to be right next to the switch, so it'll be somewhat easy to find. And just look for that glow. Again, in relation to the switch, it's literally right next to it. And once you do that, you're going to progress on to the final encounter before the boss. Again, if you're doing pressure trial, just drop this and then look to your left or right behind you. So the center one is right behind you, and that's where ours happen to spawn. Left and right, I believe, are on the upper platforms where the snipers can be. But if they're not, check the caves that are kind of down below and just look for Diatoland. In this situation, we had to just stand on little Taken sections for a few seconds. This is like cleansing an area, basically. Again, I don't know what other Taken events there could be, but this one's pretty straightforward. Again, just like last time, just keep doing it until you get that Zebra Wrath line. And then just like before, you're going to do like a little event after the encounter, and you should be for good. Now all that's left to do is kill the boss and claim your final reward. Now if you've done this properly, you should have a tier 7 chest, a tier 5 chest, or a tier 3 chest, depending on what week it is. Obviously tier 7 is going to be only on week 3, 5 on week 2, 3 on week 1, and that cycle is going to continue. But that's the best way to get those pressure trials done, and it's also a good way to get some good rewards. So I hope you found this video helpful. Again, if you did, I would greatly appreciate it if you could like it and subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.